Well, hello and welcome to Daybreak Fraser Valley Weekend. I'm Bradley Gionet.
And I'm Sue Attrill Knott.
It's a big show this week, but before we get on to that, I want to mention that for the next 4 straight weeks in June, beginning next Friday, we'll have our Shandar Indian Cuisine gift card. You can't win it. It's $50 each week, and each week there'll be a clue in that week's episode, and you'll need to Facebook message us your answer. Watch for our Facebook post on the show for details.
And congratulations to our winner of the Victoria Day Maraise Tea Gift Pack, Jen Sibbs from Chilliwack. This week, we welcome Josh Draheim from Chilliwack Salvation Army to the program, and we'll interview him right after our top 3 news from the Valley, sponsored by Black Press Media and, of course, our Pet Peeves segment.
The Pet Peeves segment's getting a lot of traction, I think.
You think? A lot of people
Maybe.
Love it?
Well, it's either that or I've become their pet peeve. One
or
of the
me.
two. Or you. Or both of us. Who knows? Well, we also have Natalie Bedard of Total Wellness, sponsored by Rivercrest Contracting Limited. And this is Sue's last episode as our guest host.
Oh, wow.
It's been great having you.
Well, you know what? It has been so much fun. I have to admit, I really am enjoying it.
Well, come back anytime. We'll have one last pick with Sue for what to do this Fraser Valley weekend, all coming up now. Welcome back, everyone. Sue, it's your last episode. I'm getting a little misty-eyed. What are you possibly going to be up to for the next several months that would prevent you from being on our show every week?
Oh, well, I'm telling you, it was a hard decision if you were asking me to stay for the rest of the time. But honestly, I have to get geared up for the election. I am running for city council. I'm very excited about the possibility of getting back on city council. I've had 1 term off, and it just drove me crazy. And I love being so involved with the community and, representing the community and bringing their ideas to City Hall. So I miss that so much, and I've just decided that I have to give it a try. I'd like to come back and continue to work for this beautiful city that we live in. So that's going to take a lot.
It's going to. You've got lots of work ahead of you. Campaigning, lots of work.
Yep.
But I know you're one of those people that likes to just roll up your sleeves and get to work. So.
Oh, I like to be busy. I have to be busy. Yeah. Absolutely.
So we need to talk about pet peeves. Do you have a pet peeves this week?
I do.
What's your pet peeve?
Okay, well, first of all, I have to preface this by saying that not all N drivers are bad, and that most kids or people that are first getting their license are really great.
Okay.
But the last week, driving up and down Vetter Road on my way to my other job, I have run into N drivers that are doing at least 20 kilometers over the speed limit and whipping in between lanes like crazy. And I just think, no indicators, no nothing. And I think, you stupid people, like, you're going to die or you're going to kill someone.
Yeah.
And that would ruin me. If I ever hit actually, it would be worse if I hit a dog, actually. I would die. Because I love animals so much. People should be smarter to get out of the way. But anyways, it's ridiculous that they behave like that, because they make all the rest of the N drivers look bad. And most of them are really great. So that's my pet peeve of the week.
So I have a pet peeve that's not going to surprise you, I don't think. Facebook.
Okay.
Not in general, because I'm on there a lot, right?
I was going to say, don't you actually live in that phone?
I think I do. So on Facebook, when somebody's looking for a recommendation, I'm looking for the best hairstylist in Garrison Crossing. And then somebody pretends to be giving a referral to a business, but the business is them. That drives me nuts. And that happens a lot, I've noticed, in the Facebook groups around town.
Well, you know what? Didn't your mother ever tell you that you don't get anywhere in this life if you don't blow your own horn?
Well, I guess that's true.
I mean, that's actually,
But I think people should say, I'm a hairstylist and I would love to help you. I don't mind that.
yeah.
But when people are pretending to give a referral for another company,
Yeah.
but then that company
I
is
went
actually
to
their
this
own.
place and they were so great. Actually, it's me.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
Drives me absolutely crazy. So let us know in the comments if you agree with me. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm nuts. Anyway, enough with the pet peeves, all this negative energy. Let's move on to the news.
Well, I'm sorry to say that I had a glance at our top 3 news stories this week.
It's not good.
Courtesy of Black Press. And all I can say is fasten your seatbelts, starting with Abbotsford.
All right. In Abbotsford, the Abbey News reported this week that a large drug lab was dismantled in the Bradner Road area with large cache of illegal weapons also seized by police. The Combined Forces Special Enforcement Unit of BC executed a search warrant last Thursday discovering a clandestine drug lab. This is all part of an ongoing drug and firearms investigation. Sergeant Senga, Media Relations Officer, stated in a news release, "We understand that operations of this nature can be concerning for residents and disruptive to the surrounding community. Our priority throughout this investigation has been public safety." It's not that I'm surprised that we have drug trafficking going on in our communities. It's just the level of organization of the criminality that seems so pervasive and hidden right in residential neighborhoods. I think it's right to be concerned about public safety. It's more than a little bit scary. And if you think that's scary, here's something happening in Chilliwack.
Yeah, we'd like to describe this as a good, clean teenage fun, except really wasn't at all. Jennifer Feinberg of the Chilliwack Progress reports that this past weekend, a large group of teenagers and adults were involved in violence and bear spraying at Portage Park near downtown. Witnesses at the scene reported large groups of youth running from the scene with bear spray effects, slash and stab wounds, and one person with head injuries. Unbelievable. When first responders arrived, 2 adults were taken to the hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. A search warrant was executed the next day at nearby residence. Police ask that you contact them if you have any information on this at all. It's a sad
Not
day.
acceptable.
No, to see this in Chilliwack, I just, wouldn't have believed it 10 years ago.
No. Okay, this is something a little more inspiring. Out in Agassiz, a grade 5 and 6 students from Seabird Island Community School recently traveled to Abbotsford to go fishing with a cop. The event was held at Silverbrook Fish Farm in Abbotsford and was the first one they've ever done. According to the Agassiz Harrison Observer, the students chose fishing as a favorite activity. The point of the event is to have shared activities with the students to help build trust, familiarity, open communication, and are an important part of how police connect with the community. According to Constable Bradley Holditch with UFVRD IPS, we have ongoing activities like paddling, soccer, and dodgeball that we do with the kids, but it was great to see the students show interest in fishing. I think it's a great way to humanize the police for the kids and position the police as helpers in the community. It's a great way to build trust.
Okay, thank you to Black Press Media for your top 3 news stories from the Valley this week. After the break, we are going to meet Josh Draheim of Chilliwack Salvation Army. We'll be right back.
All right, Josh Draheim, welcome to Daybreak.
Thank you.
Now, you are not a stranger to the show.
No.
You filled in for me when I had pneumonia.
I did, and it was a ton of fun, but we did miss you.
And you had tea. So I was very jealous about that.
Have you ever been to like visit Ethan and like check that whole place out since then?
More often than I should admit, actually. Yes. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for being on Chill TV.
Of course.
Many different things over the
100%,
years.
100%.
So a lot of people know, a lot of our viewers know that you work with the Salvation Army. Can you tell us exactly what your role is?
For sure. My role is community partnerships coordinator. So basically doing stuff like this, chatting with people, talking about what we do. Whenever people ask me what I do, I explain, like, Salvation Army's been in Chilliwack 102 years, coming up on 103 next February. That's a lot of legacy in Chilliwack, and yet I don't think everyone always knows. They know and respect the shield. They know the Salvation Army stands for good work, whatever that means. And my job is kind of fill in that gap and explain kind of, hey, did you know we have a free grocery store beyond just a food bank? Did you know that we have an outreach center with free laundry and free showers beyond just shelters, right? Do you know that we supply food to food banks across BC? These are things that people don't know that we do, that I get the opportunity to educate them on. And I think that's really exciting. It just not just lets people know, hey, this is what the Salvation Army is doing, please support us. But also, there might be people out there who go, oh man, I could really use something like that, right? Hey, groceries are really expensive. I could maybe use some fresh veggies for free. That would actually help me a lot this week or next week or for a while to get me through this season, whatever it is. So I think that's another part of the job where I get the opportunity to talk about what services are being offered, and hopefully that lands in people's minds, or people think about, hey, I know someone who could use this, right? So that's a very long form what my job is.
It doesn't really fit on like on a plaque outside your office, I'm sure. But
well, it'd be an appropriately sized large plaque.
There you
just with really tiny writing.
Well, it's the Salvation Army does very good work. Obviously, we know this, and I think it is important to share that work and share the need. Now, just before we started recording, you were letting me know something really exciting is happening with the food bank side of things, which I think you need to tell our viewers about.
I would be happy to. This is something that's been a passion project of mine for a while, kind of banging the drum for it as much as I can, and that's a pretty big change to how we run the food bank. So here's how it is right now. You book an appointment, you come in, you do your intake interview. We check proof of residence, ID for everyone in the household, that kind of thing. And then they get a box of food that is pre-made, pre-packaged. And there's a lot of food in those boxes. On the small end, like $200 worth of food, large end, like $400 worth of food. Okay. Once you add extra items like milk and eggs and cheese and flour and granola and frozen meat and stuff like that get added onto the box after the fact. But more or less, it's pre-made, and you kind of get it based on your family size. There's a few items that we let people pick. Do you want this? Do you not want this? Or do you have pets? Okay, we have some pet food. Or, oh, you've got school-age kids. Okay, well, we can throw in some school snacks. But broadly speaking, it's pre-made. You kind of get what you get. And that's, served a lot of food banks across North America for a long time. And in Chilliwack, about 40 years or so. But things have changed. And I think people's habits have changed, and the type of people that were coming to the food bank are changing as well. I'm sure you've noticed this too in your work. It's just average people are struggling. People who are doing the right things are still finding it hard to get by. And so our clientele at the food bank is increasingly what you might even call middle class. And there's a certain amount of shame that comes along with that. When people come to the food bank and they think, I shouldn't be here. That's embarrassing for people, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't have to be that way. The food bank's for anyone, but it is, right? They go, oh, this is for somebody else. If they didn't grow up using it or something like that, it can be quite hard for people to bring themselves to do that. And then they kind of get a box of food that they didn't really get to pick, and it's kind of whatever you want. And again, it served people well for a long time, but I've thought for a while that we can do better. And so we're doing a model now, and it will be launching, kind of soft launching this summer, hopefully for a hard launch in September. What's called a choice model. Basically, it's going to look a lot more like a real grocery store in the sense where you'll be allotted a certain number of points or tokens based on the size of your family, and then you'll get to shop for what you would like. So, if you don't like Chef Boyardee, that's fine. Me neither. But hey, or, you really like you work on a job site and having a chunky soup you can just crack open and eat is really nice. Okay, grab some extra of those. They might cost a few more points, but you can get what you actually want. Maybe with the soups, you like the tomato soup because you use it in sauces, but you can leave the chicken noodle. You don't really ever use those. Like little things like that I think that'll be a huge difference for people actually getting to pick items they're going to use versus having to sort through what came in the box and figure out what they need and what they don't need. We've had a lot of people who donate the food back to the food bank because they're like, I didn't really need this, but I needed this stuff a lot.
This new model sounds a lot less wasteful, perhaps.
100%. Yeah.
And more respectful of the individual person.
100%. And again, I don't want to like go and say that the old model was bad. A lot of people, a ton of people have received a lot of help through that.
Right.
This is just a very natural improvement to it. And it's going to, I think, serve people better, feed people better. And I think in a really fun way, allow us to experiment a little bit. If you imagine, a pre-made hamper, you can't really change up the menu much because you have no way to trial what works and what doesn't, right? Thousands of hampers are going out every month, literally. And if you are getting something, you need enough for all of them, right? Whereas now you could buy maybe 500 or just a couple hundred of a particular item and see if it flies, see if stuff gets taken off the shelves.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Right? And we're thinking like, I was saying to you, I think before the show, one of the biggest areas of growth that we are seeing at the food bank is people who are new to Canada. Where are they coming from? They're coming from Central Africa. They're coming from Eastern Europe. And they're coming from the Arabian Peninsula, escaping, generally speaking, war most commonly. And they're landing in Chilliwack and they're ending up at the food bank.
So let's get them some food that they can use.
Exactly.
Not
right?
the Chef Boyardee.
Not the Chef Boyardee. They don't know
the
who he
KD.
is. They've never met him. They've never met the guy. And, so we'd love to be able to try out some foods that are maybe more culturally relevant to people and see what works. Try something. If it stays on the shelf and no one's taking it, okay, never mind. But it wasn't a huge investment, so not the end of the world. But, if something really hits, now we can maybe swap out something else and bring that in. So anyways, that's a little bit of like inside baseball, like behind the scenes food bank stuff. But at the end of the day, we just have a heart to serve people well, to make sure that people are getting fed, but not just fed, but what they actually need. And
Nutritious.
I'm really, really excited about this. Yeah.
I love that.
And they're able, maybe people don't know this, but the hamper program that this is going to be replacing is once a month. And it'll continue to be a once a month thing, but they can always go to the pantry 5 days a week if they want to. That's got fresh groceries, fruits and veggies, dairy, deli, baked goods, frozen, all kinds of stuff, 100% for free. And that's open daily, and people can just walk in and use that. So between this and that, giving people more choice, healthier options, I think it's going to be a big step up for food security resources in Chilliwack.
Serving people better.
100%.
So I love that. So I'm not really a numbers guy, but I do love statistics.
Okay,
so
fair.
I didn't pre-warn him. I was asking this question.
If I don't have these off the top of my head, I don't think I'm doing my job
You're
well.
gonna know. You're gonna know. In the period of about a month, how many people are served by the food bank in Chilliwack?
So let's break it into the two major programs, the hamper program, the food bank hamper program, and the pantry. The hamper program now is doing around 1,000 to 1,200 hampers a month.
Wow.
That's since like 2021 risen from like 300.
Okay.
So a huge amount of growth in a relatively short amount of time. And that's not just people coming physically to the food bank, that's partnering with other agencies like Wilma's, Ann Davis, Cyrus Center, Senior Resource Society. These agencies get hampers for their clients. So we build the hampers and they come and pick them up and deliver them. And actually that's going to continue with this new program as well. We're going to keep supplying all those agencies so that people don't stop receiving service suddenly, obviously. And then on the pantry side, that program has exploded to a level I don't think we ever could have imagined. And I think because it is accessible, it is fresh, healthy food. That program has grown from, firstly, when I started, it was less than 100 people kind of coming through the doors a day. So kind of around maybe 1,000 or so a month visitors, not counting repeats and all of that. But now it is well over 4,000 a month, kind of like 250 people a day, some days higher, some days a little lower. But like a massive number of people coming through those doors. And we're trying to get them all using like both, come get your hamper once a month, use the pantry a few times a week so that, you're covering as many gaps as possible. But the growth has been extraordinary. And part of that is Chilliwack is growing.
Right.
Like it's not just that the need's increasing. That's a little bit manipulative if you're just kind of, the need's growing. No, Chilliwack's growing.
Community
as
has grown a lot.
And so just demographics wise, you're going to notice a change in the type of people that are coming here. So I think people are in need. I think inflation's had a huge impact. I think, just the way cost of goods has increased has affected people more and more. but it's not all doom and gloom. People are getting help. There is help out there. And in some ways, more people accessing is not a bad thing, right?
Well, we are so grateful for the Salvation Army, for the program, and for the work that you do. Just before you go, can you let our viewers know how they can support?
100%. First of all, we're grateful to Chilliwack. 102 years doesn't happen without tremendous support from the community. This community has always been so generous, both with financially and also just time. Like how many volunteers? You got 100 active volunteers or so that allow these programs to run. So how to support the food bank? The best way to support the food bank is monthly giving. There's cash and monthly. I crunched the numbers. It took a long time. Took our overall costs, everything we invest in food purchasing, staffing, building costs, maintenance, insurance, all of that. And I basically took that and divided it by how many households are we feeding a month. And it was about $37.50 a month to feed a household. That's a ridiculously efficient number. So if you have $37.50 a month, you can make sure a family in Chilliwack is fed every month. That's pretty crazy. And so if you want to support the food bank, obviously volunteering and stuff like that too, but that's the best way to do it.
$37.50 a month. I think a lot of us can step up and do that. So, Josh, thanks so much for coming in this week. Coming up after the break, we have Natalie Bedard with Total Wellness, sponsored by Rivercrest Contracting Limited.
Hi again, it's Natalie Bedard, fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach. And today I want to talk about consistency. And I might tell you something that surprises you, but many of you are trying too hard. You're going all in and you're changing your entire life. And hey, I admire that, but you really set yourself up for failure because you cannot keep that level of intensity forever. So success, which means maintaining your results, maintaining the lifestyle that you've chosen, requires consistency. And consistency means that you need to be able to do it on the regular for the rest of your life. This is a lifestyle. There's ebb and flow with that. We're not talking about perfection. We're talking about consistent practice. And you can dial things up, dial things down, depending on what's happening in your life. But if you go all in, I'm not eating carbs, I'm cutting out sugar, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. every day, working out 6 days a week, you're doing all the things, how long can you keep that up? Stress, life happens, things come that impact that perfect schedule that you have, and then we fall off the rails. And then next thing you know, you find yourself starting over again. You're just doing too much right all at once. So what you need to do is this. Start small. Don't do all the things. Really resist the temptation to do it the way you've always done, because that's never really worked out for you. So what you want to do is pick a few things. You don't have to get up and run 5, 10K every day. Start small. Have a goal that seems almost too easy and pick 1 or 2 of those. So we want to start gradually. Do things that we can achieve. We can fit them into our life. And when life happens, the whole thing doesn't fall apart because you can pivot. But when we have too many things stacked, everything falls apart. So we're building a house of cards that we cannot keep standing. So start small, pick 1 to 2 things. So think about a movement habit and a nutrition habit. What can you do? So maybe that is an intentional walk every day. Maybe you're not even putting a time limit on it, just an intentional walk. And you might say, that's too easy. That's the point. With your nutrition, maybe it's not an all-out meal prep and eliminating food groups. We don't need to do that anyways, but just say, hey, can I add protein to each meal? Start there, get comfortable with that, get consistent with that so it just becomes part of your lifestyle, then add in the next thing. So consistency is actually easy. We make it hard. dial it back, try that, really put in your effort to make less effort, to use less effort, and you will find that actually over time you do end up being consistent and maintaining your results.
All right, Sue, your last week as guest host. What am I going to do without you?
Oh, I'm sure you'll manage.
You think so?
Yeah, I think you are so larger than life in personality alone that you'll be just fine. I don't even really think you need a co-host. But the fact that you're getting another one is great because, you know, when you're talking to an empty chair, it's a little embarrassing and people think that you've kind of lost
it a little bit.
Lost your mind, yeah.
Well, that's a very nice compliment. Thank you. Just let me know where to write the check. Why don't we move on to our picks this week for what to do in the Valley? Let's start in Abbotsford. You can start off.
All right, in Abbotsford this weekend, our pick is to try the Garden Party Market at Little Log House Farm on Dixon Road. You're getting fabulous local vendors, farm fresh florals and lavender, spring yard games with prizes, something available to enjoy for the whole family. They also have spring mocktails, food, and log house floral specialty coffee. This is happening from 4 until 8 p.m. on Sunday the 31st.
I do love me a market.
I do too.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Out in Agassiz, it's the Seabird Island Festival tomorrow and Sunday. There's going to be arts and crafts, food trucks, camping, canoe races, and a soccer tournament. It's always a great event, but one thing I didn't realize is that this has been going on for 55 years. It started in 1971, and it's a long tradition of Indigenous festivals long before colonization, with tribes traveling by canoe along the river to compete in sports and games for training. It's a great cultural tradition, and we highly recommend it. You can get more details at seabird-island-festival.ca.
I think that started before you were born.
That was definitely before I was born. Thank you very much. What's going on in Chilliwack?
Chilliwack, okay. It's time to power up tonight at the Chilliwack Cultural Center. Power Up is an AC/DC tribute band in their prime. Frontman John Karras delivers the power and grit of Bon Scott and Brian Johnson, bouncing between their iconic styles to give you the authentic AC/DC sound that you have been waiting for. Now, I am not particularly a huge fan of AC/DC, but I must admit my toe does get a tapping and my head whiplashing to Thunderstruck. Mm-hmm. I think even occasionally pump my fist in the air. That is so not like me.
I don't think so.
I'm not a fist pumper. It's actually quite a sight to see. It's happening tonight at 7:30 p.m.
All right, tomorrow night, Saturday in Hope, if you're into country music, and I mean real country music, bluegrass, that sort of thing, you need to head down to the Blue Moose Coffee House in Hope to catch Quentin Grimm and his guests in a live performance that starts at 7 p.m. Blue Moose is located on Wallace Street. Tickets are $30 and doors open at 6 p.m.
Okay, and in Langley on Sunday, we want you to drive on down to Brookswood Secondary School to see the Brookswood Community Car Show, a fundraiser to support the school's breakfast program and music and applied skills programs. It's a great way to get out on a Sunday with the family, see your favorite classic vehicles, and at the same time support these great community programs. There'll be food available in a variety of live entertainment too. It starts at 9:30 and goes until 2 p.m. and it's free to attend, but you can of course make a donation.
What's your favorite classic car?
I have a real fondness for my 2002 T-Bird.
It's a beautiful one.
And it's actually not a classic for another year.
Close enough. It's a classic in our hearts.
It is.
All right, out in Mission, this one is kind of cool, and it's happening at the Clark Foundation Theater. Tomorrow night, Saturday, starting at 8 p.m., a tarot-themed cabaret is being presented by Cirque de Mort's Vaudeville Society, featuring circus acts, burlesque, drag, and belly dance. That's a combination. I'm impressed. Tickets are $45, and this is a 19-plus event. That's a lot of different things going on this weekend.
Yeah, that's a wide variety of things to do.
Yeah, there's no excuse to be bored this weekend. Thanks to Josh Drawheim of Chilliwack Salvation Army for being on the show, and thank you to Natalie Bedard of Total Wellness, sponsored by Rivercrest Contracting Limited. And finally, thank you, Sue, for being my co-host for the last 3 weeks. I've loved having you here. Tune in next week to see who our next guest host is. If you have something you think we should share on the show, we'd love to hear from you. Contact us through Messenger on Chill TV's Facebook page. Thank you for watching and have a fabulous Fraser Valley weekend.